So, good morning, everyone. Good evening, and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Desmos, and you're welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking Empath free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality, and I talk about personal and self-growth. And if any of that resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us. Give us a like, share the video with friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. Now on this channel I've got people who are just joining this channel, so they're just new and they cannot really understand what is going on here on this channel. So they may notice that this channel is different from other channels. So this channel is a channel of truth. Not only that, yes, we talk about narcissism, but also on a very spiritual perspective, and also we cover a lot of spiritual content on this channel. So there is people who don't really understand spirituality. So if a person is just evolving and they are at some point in their evolution, they may not really understand what is going on here, because for you to be able to understand this channel, you might have wanted to start from the beginning. You know what I mean? Because there's a very, very big story that has been going on my channel. So sometimes this channel is going to be triggering. Most of the times, one thing I've also learned about my journey is the things that usually trigger you. Those are the things within you that you haven't healed. So most of the times the triggers are caused by some of those things that you have not healed and you are yet to work on. But you see, the problem is a lot of people don't want to put in the work. So when talking about healing and the things like that, there is many people, they don't want to put in the work. So they want to come around and watch channels that are going to be sugarcoating things so that they can make them to feel good. And you know what I mean? At the end of the day, there is things that are still yet to be healed, that are hidden within, but it's just because it's like a wound. This is like a wound. A person comes up, somebody has had the wound, and you go to the doctor, and the doctor is just going to cover the wound with the plaster. They are not going to actually treat the wound. First of all, they will cover the wound with the plaster for you to make for them to make you feel better. But again, the wound hasn't healed. So it is until they address that exact wound and they put the disinfectant in the wound and they tackle the wound directly before they cover the wound up with the plaster. So that's how the doctor works. On this channel, we dig into the root of the problem. And most of the times when we're digging into the root of the problems, especially regarding narcissistic abuse, you will always realize some of the times it is going to be triggering, because there is some of those things that are not good experiences. When we're talking about narcissistic abuse, we're not talking about good experiences. So we're talking about very, very intensive abuse. So when you find this channel triggering and it's not your kind of channel you want to watch, you can always browse through. There is so many other channels that can give you a different kind of validation. So on this channel is the channel of truth, and it is channel of breaking empaths free. So when I'm breaking empaths free, I'm not telling you that you're going to walk out of the narcissistic relationship. You're going to break out of it. So when you're leaving the narcissist, you don't walk out of it in peace and you shake their hands and you hug them and this. You break out of those entanglements. That's why this channel is called Breaking Empaths Free. So for the most of you guys, I think this clarifies what my channel is all about. If you cannot handle the energy on this channel, you can always scroll ahead. There is so many of them that will give you the validation that you're looking for. Now, along my journey, I've met different types of narcissists, like I've told you guys. But also I've met healthy relationships as well. So it doesn't always mean that because I've been talking about narcissistic abuse, so it has always been narcissists and narcissists. Yes, they've also been a part of my journey, but as well, I have been able to meet meaningful partners and had meaningful relationships along my journey. Then I came up with 5 phases. So in this channel, we are going to discuss 5 phases of relationships, and we are going to get the difference between the healthy ones and the toxic ones. So you see, the thing is, when you meet a healthy individual, the dynamics are going to change. So it is going to be a completely different scenario than when you meet a toxic individual. So it is going to be two complete different things. But you see, there is going to be similarities in the phases, which I'm going to explain to you in this video. Now, when you meet a healthy individual, I did a small list here with me. So when you meet a healthy individual, you will go through the honeymoon phase. So you will go through, of course, that phase whereby the two of you are very much into each other. There's no toxicity involved. Of course, in each and every relationship, there will be a little bit of toxic habits, but I mean, sometimes not in a very major way that is actually going to destroy another individual. So you will go through the honeymoon phase in a healthy relationship. So that is the honeymoon phase whereby the both of you are going to validate each other in a healthy way. You're going to, share a lot of feelings together, go here and there, do whatever it is that people do in the honeymoon. But you see, on the other side, in the narcissistic relationship, it is not a honeymoon. So there is something what they're calling the love bomb. So in the narcissistic relationship, instead of them actually validating you and actually carrying on in a healthy way to get you into that relationship, they are actually love bombing you. So the narcissist is love bombing you in a way that they are now giving you all these kind of the things you've never seen before. They are telling you the things you never had before. They are showering you with the gifts, the most expensive gifts you can ever think about in this universe. So the narcissists normally use the love bomb, because you guys have continuously heard me talking about the love bomb. So the love bomb is that very, very intensive phase whereby the narcissist just comes in like 100%, like full force. They are coming in to secure the source of supply. They're not coming in to love you. They're just coming in to secure you. You see, when you're having a honeymoon with a healthy individual, they are coming in to love you. But when you with the narcissist is coming in to secure you because they are initially looking for a source of supply. So that's why you see a lot of expensive watches, a lot of vacations flying all over the place, a lot of expensive dresses, the trips and the this and the most expensive restaurants. So they are doing everything in their power to make sure that they are securing you as a source of supply. So a lot of times the empaths, they don't recognize that actually they're being love bombed by a toxic individual. And I think we've already done a video about the love bomb. But on the other hand, in the honeymoon phase, it's a regular thing. It's a normal thing. You're not there to impress anybody. Yes, you want to give the first impression, which is very important, but you don't have to go all the way, an extra mile, to impress somebody with very, very expensive gifts because you want to buy your way into their hearts. You know what I mean? You don't have to buy them the most expensive dress, buy them the most expensive ride, go on the very expensive trips. You can have a honeymoon in the cheapest place in the universe. You can just go in the cheap place and enjoy yourselves and just enjoy in the company of each other. So there is a difference between a honeymoon when you're dealing with a healthy individual. On the other side, there is a love bomb when you're dealing with toxic individuals. We talked about continuously these narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths. So on that phase, when you move on from that phase, you go to the second phase, whereby, of course, this phase of the love bomb and the honeymoon, sometimes it can be 2-3 months, depending on the characters and the individual. It can be like 2 or 3 months. But along your journey as well, you're also going to notice that on the second phase, which is number 2, you will start to recognize the indifference between the two of you. So even in a healthy relationship, because it doesn't always mean that even if you've met your soulmate or the twin flame or whatever it is, they always going to be some little differences between the two of you. Why? Because you have all grown in different places. You've been brought up in different traditions, cultures, families. So there will always be some things that are not matching up with you, of course. And that's when in the second phase, which is usually running between 3 and 6 months, you will start noticing the indifferences between the two of you. So you see, but the problem is that in the healthy relationship, when you recognize these indifferences, it's like you're agreeing that yes, you guys are different. It's okay to be different. You might have been born in a Muslim family, somebody's born in a Christian family, somebody's from this tribe or that, or this one's from that tribe, somebody is Chinese, this one is Asian or whatever, somebody's Asian, this one is European. There will sometimes be indifferences, but in the healthy relationship, you accept these indifferences in a very healthy way and you accommodate each other in a very healthy way. So they don't really put you off. But you see, on the opposite side, when you're dealing with the narcissists and these other toxic individuals, instead of understanding the indifferences, you are now going to start to see their toxic habits starting to come out. So these are habits that you cannot handle. These are things that you may sometimes hearing them, because you see, most of these guys, the narcissists, when they're with you, sometimes the mask is going to slip every now and then. So sometimes you see them saying some of those things you never heard before. They will just pop up, a word will just pop out of their mouth, and you'll be like, what is that? What did that mean? You know what? That was a mistake. I wasn't talking to you. Now in the narcissistic relationship, when you start to notice this kind of indifferences, that is when you're going to know that there are some of those indifferences that are very, very toxic and sometimes unusual, that you've not had before or you have not seen before. But you see, the problem with the narcissistic relationship is that usually when you notice this kind of little red flags, it is like the narcissist is usually going to gaslight you. You might have seen something or heard something that you've never heard before or you've never seen before, and that thing you understand as an empath or as a healthy individual that particular act or a word is toxic. So when you mention it to those lovers, to those partners, they're going to usually gaslight you. They will let you know that, you know what, whatever it is you've been hearing, you know, I got that from a neighbor. I had the neighbor saying this, or I read it in the book, or I watched it in a movie, or sometimes you haven't heard me properly. Maybe it's something wrong with your ears. You're not hearing correctly, and now that's where sometimes the gaslighting is coming in, and sometimes the individuals are starting to doubt themselves. Have they heard the right word, or is it them going crazy? Are they seeing the right thing? So the narcissists, because those individuals, they are toxic, and these are things they have done over and over again. So they usually try to gaslight you to make you believe that you have not had the right thing, or you have not seen the right thing. So on the other side of the indifferences, noticing the indifferences, you agree that yes, maybe there's a time when you go to pray in the evening. I'm not a Muslim, so I'm not going to pray. So you start to see these little things between the two of you, and again, it's not like it's making you uncomfortable. You are just trying to understand and to absorb each other into a relationship. So normally you don't get bothered by their indifferences. You notice them, you see them, and sometimes you might even want to understand something about their culture or their tradition, but it doesn't bother you in some kind of a way whereby it's going to actually put you off. But sometimes when you're dealing with the narcissists, there is some things that actually even sometimes put you off, like really negative compliments or sometimes actions, and they really put you off. But when you confront them about those things, they're usually going to gaslight you and make you think that it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. And you know, sometimes, of course, in that phase as well, as you're still asking them the questions, they're going to go back very quickly and love bomb you again. Oh, my sweetheart, my honey, and this and this. And they'll bring you a candy and they'll bring you a flower, you know what I mean? And they bring you back to order. And then, of course, in a few days or so, or a few hours, they'll go back and hit the second bomb. So you're going to see that kind of differences popping up. So normally they're called like red flags in a toxic relationship. They're like red flags because those are unbearable situations that you cannot handle as a human being. Now, of course, on the third phase, you will see a phase whereby you will start to doubt a little bit. Now, in a healthy relationship, you also a little bit doubt. It doesn't mean that when you meet a healthy partner, of course, everything is going to be peaches and cream. You guys are going to go smoothly and maneuver smoothly within the relationship. Sometimes you will see that you will reach that phase whereby you are doubting this thing a little bit. You are like, okay, yes, you've seen this person, but at the end of the day, do you want to continue with this relationship? How are you feeling about yourself? You know what I mean? So there will be sometimes elements of doubt. But you see, in a healthy relationship, it is not that doubt which is actually putting you off. It is that doubt which is actually preparing you that, yes, I've met this person and I've seen some of these indifferences. We've spent some good times together. Do I really want to be with this person or not? So you're now starting to weigh in the possibilities of establishing a very successful relationship with that individual. So you will sometimes doubt it a little bit, but not in a negative way. So you will now see if there is a possibility to carry on further with that relationship, or you want to end it there because of different circumstances. Because you may sometimes have a situation whereby you're going to travel out of the country, you're going to leave them behind, or the things like that. Or sometimes something is going to change. Anything can happen. That's when the doubt will come in a little bit. And then on the other side of the narcissistic relationship, the doubt is actually very intense, because now at that moment you have already seen the bad habits of the narcissist, the things they've been telling you that you don't want to hear or you don't want to see, and the words that you don't want to hear. So sometimes during the gaslighting and the love bomb, you are doubting this entanglement. You know what I mean? So if I've met a narcissist, I can guarantee that within the first 3 months of those entanglements, you have already noticed that they are actually toxic, but at the same time sweet and toxic at the same time. You know what I mean? So whenever you caught them in an act, whenever there was a red flag that popped up and you caught them in an act, you also notice that actually you are starting to doubt whether this relationship actually is going anywhere, because there is some things you really don't want to hear, but you're hearing them say this, or there are some things you've seen them do, but you've never seen anywhere else, but you see them doing those things, and when you ask them what they all mean, they are gaslighting you and bringing you back to the love bomb phase, and sometimes making you feel you're the crazy one who is not actually seeing things correctly. So in all relationships, there's a doubt that usually comes into in the third phase, and a lot of times when you're dealing with a narcissist, you can also find a situation where you're trying to get married to them, and then it's like, maybe because you know the narcissist, they like to marry you in the next week or in the next month. They can very, very quickly get married, or even sometimes move in with you. So in that phase of the doubt, you're like, do I really want to move in with this person? Because I've seen something. Last time he did something, I didn't like it. He said something, I didn't like it. Or she did something, I didn't like it. So you're starting to doubt, like, do I really want to marry that person? Do I really want to live with that person? But at the same time, you cannot make a decision, because your brain, during the gaslighting and the love bomb, your brain has now been trauma bonded. You know what I mean? You understand the person is toxic, but again, they have got a very, very good and sweet side of them that you don't want to miss. So you're thinking that if you leave you're going to miss that sweet side of them. But at the same time, if you stay them, you may sometimes see of those bad things that they're doing. So you're in that doubt whereby it's a pull and push and you don't know what to do. So most of the times, that is when a lot of people get trapped in those entanglements, because now most of them don't realize, but they have already been trauma bonded. And that is very doubtful situation. You cannot get out of it. And most of the time that brings us to the next one, which is actually the decision making. So usually at the decision making in a healthy relationship, that is when a healthy individual will decide that I've met this person, I really like them. Yes, we have got our differences. I've already thought about the plus and the minus, the plus and the minus. I've already thought about the pros and the cons. I want to take this relationship further. I want to go ahead and carry on with this relationship, whatever it is, whatever the circumstances, we are going to be together, because now you have already analyzed everything, and the person you believe is a healthy person to date, and you want to stay in their lives for a certain period of time, for a good period of time. For the narcissist, on the other hand, you're making a decision, but again, it's a very toxic decision, because you have now seen the love bomb, the sweetness. You've seen the indifferences, which is extremely different and toxic, that you don't want to be a part of, but at the same time you cannot get out of it. You have seen the doubting, whereby you're even doubting their actions that they're doing, the things that they're doing, but at the same time you know that you cannot leave that relationship. Now you're making a decision because your mind is telling you that, hey, listen, you're with this person. I know, yes, sometimes there are things that you don't like about them, but don't worry. In the future, in a few days, in a few months, things are going to change. So you can now go on and keep on with that relationship, because at some point there is things that are going to change, and you guys are going to be happy. You're going to enjoy that kind of situation. So a lot of times you will see that you're making a decision which you're not even sure of. You know what I mean? So sometimes you can even be on the wedding day. You guys are going to marry, so it's your wedding day, but you feel like you shouldn't really marry this person, because there is something inside you that is telling your soul, your intuition is speaking to you, and is telling you that, hey, listen, are you really getting married? Are you really deciding to get married to this individual? Because there is a possibility they may continue that behavior they've been doing for the last 3 or 6 months. You know what I mean? Your mind is telling you. I remember having this situation as well when I was going to get married to the narcissist. I was having second thoughts about it, so I was not sure that I wanted to really marry this individual, because at that point in time, I had already seen these couple of patterns that I wasn't really sure that I was comfortable with. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's that moment whereby the narcissist puts you in the situation. Sometimes they have made you already pregnant, so you're already pregnant with their children, and you cannot leave them. So you have got to be there and decide forcefully to be with them. So that's when you see a lot of people, they're on their wedding days and they're already crying on the wedding day in their gowns, because they have made a decision and they don't know if it's the right decision, and they're not comfortable with the person that they're marrying at that moment. You guys have seen it all over YouTube. A lot of people on their wedding day with the narcissist, they even sometimes shed tears, because they already know they are marrying a toxic individual, but at the same time, they have already been invested. A lot of money has been invested in those weddings. Sometimes they are pregnant, they have already families and the things like that. So there are ties to those individuals that they cannot get out. So they usually decide in a very toxic way to carry on and marry those individuals. But on the other healthy way, also, you make a decision. You say, okay, so listen, I'm talking about the healthy relationship. You will say, listen, I've been seeing you for a while. I like you. I like your swagger. I like your style. I like your moves. I like your this. Of course, I know we are different. You may be Muslim, or maybe a Christian, but that is not going to put us apart, because at the end of the day, we have got this clique. You know what I mean? So there is this spark between us, and you just feel that you don't want to live without those persons. So you just make a decision to carry on and continue with that kind of relationship. Now, of course, the fifth stage, which is the obvious one, that is when you go into the real love. Now, when we're talking about a healthy relationship, we're talking about real love. But we're talking about a toxic or narcissistic relationship, we're talking about commitment. You just decide to commit anyway, because at the end of the day, you've gone through all these patterns together. It's like there's nothing you can do. There's nothing more you can do. Most of the times, you've already been married to them, and sometimes you just have to end up committing to them. Sometimes because there's no other option. You know what I mean? So when it comes to the healthy relationship, it's real love. You're like entering a real loving relationship, whereby you're going to stay with somebody who is going to continuously support you and have your best interests at heart, and you know what I mean, be there for you, like the other half of you. But on the toxic side, you're just entering a commitment. You're like, okay, so yes, it's the last phase of this situation. Sometimes you've already made a decision to get married or to move in together. So you just have to carry on with that commitment, or sometimes I like to call it the entanglement. You know what I mean? So you just have to carry on with the entanglement, because at that point there is no way of returning and getting out of it. So you just agree and carry on with it. no matter how toxic it is. So that's why you see now a lot of people who are dealing with toxic relationships, they keep on, now the cycle will start and they will start to see those things again and again, because the narcissist has already got you secured as a source of supply in that entanglement. So now they start to bring you all through this roller coaster, and again, so you start to experience this abuse as intensive as it can get. Of course, like some of us who have been like a couple of years down the road, we are very lucky to wake up and get out of it. Now, those are my 5 stages of relationships, or the phases of relationship that usually people go through, and I've given you the difference between a healthy one and the toxic relationship. You know what I mean? So if there's something that I've not mentioned as well, guys, you can always leave us a comment in the section below. Let us know what has been your experience, whether it has been a real loving relationship or whether it has been a toxic relationship. Until then, guys, it's been lovely to have you guys on board. Guys, I'm making a video very soon about healing. So because I've noticed that there's many people that don't really yet know how to heal, so I'm going to revisit my healing techniques, and I'm going to share with you. Look out for my next video. We are really going to dive in about and discuss healing and what you need to do if you have left a narcissist and you're struggling to heal. Until then, guys, you can always book a session with me, donate and support my channel if you want to. All the links you need, they are in the description section below. Much love and blessings, and I'll catch you in my next one. There's more signing out.